when you talk about capitalism, that just falls on deaf ears because people think we have capitalism now. We haven't had capitalism in over 100 years, okay? The word free market, those words, that's like wallpaper now, just background noise in a political speech, and nobody pays attention to it. But what we are living under and have lived under is not the free market. It's a cartel. It really is. The government has turned into a cartel with crony deals and lobbyists that are writing the rules and bailouts for the powerful. You know, people on the left will say the rich keep getting richer. Well, yes. And who are the rich? Who are the rich? Who are the rich? Let's just start at the top. How about the banks? What do the banks do? The banks have a cartel. It's called the Federal Reserve. Who controls the Federal Reserve? Do you control the Federal Reserve? That's the 5 biggest banks in the country. The 5 biggest banks in the country. We don't even know who they are. What kind of system is that? That is a progressive system put in by Woodrow Wilson and his cronies at the time to control you. That's what all of this is about, controlling you. Getting rich themselves and controlling you. And they do it through these official sounding things like the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not the free market and should be destroyed. We haven't had the free market for a very long time. Who is bailing these corporations out? It's the government. Why is the government doing that? Because the corporations are taking money and they're allowed to buy lobbyists so they can write. Most of the laws are not written by any lawmaker. They're written by lobbyists. And then they're pushed through by the lobbyist into Congress all the way up to the president. That's not a free system. That is a system where you get screwed in the end. Okay? The government it's a machine that has been used by the powerful corporations and the powerful people like George Soros to keep you down and to lift them up, protect them, because they think they know better than you. They're more important than you. And if you're 30 years old, this is all you've ever seen. You've seen the rotten fruit of that tree for a very, very long time. The crushing rent, the suffocating debt that you probably saw your parents go through while the banks were being bailed out. The health care bills that you can't understand anymore. I mean, how does that even work? Not only can you not understand your health care bill, how are you going to pay your health care bill? But here's the secret. None of this is the free market. None of it. You've not seen the free market. Not once. What you've seen and witnessed here in America is a rigged game. And people are right to reject it. You're right. But that's not what the system was designed to do. That is the bastardization of this. It's taken them 100 years to do it. But that's what this system has been turned into. Here's the twist. If you let the real free market breathe, it doesn't chain you down. It lifts you up. What if we, instead of burning the whole system down, what if we burn down the barricades of red tape and let builders actually build? What if zoning laws and rent controls were cleared out like brushwood? Suddenly, the housing market would be affordable again. And if you don't believe me, look at what's happening in Argentina. And not in theory, in practice, actually doing these things and making things affordable again. What if healthcare bills showed the price up front? Okay? Like a restaurant menu. Doctors were competing to earn your business instead of serving the insurance companies. The insurance companies also have gone completely mad and corrupt. And how did they do it? Why did they do it? They did it because it's the rules the government set up. Because it was dirty. If you think a bigger government is going to make things better, you're wrong. The government is the problem. What if student loans stop being a government racket? Do you know the price of education back in the 60s and 70s? It wasn't the price of a house. What happened? That got out of control when the government started saying, you know what? We're going to get into the business of loans. We're going to give the loans. Once those loans were guaranteed, the universities knew, well, we're in bed with the government now. It'll never fail. They'll never stop writing those loans, and we can charge whatever we want. But what if the loans stopped being this government racket and education was tailored and affordable and actually useful? Not this crap you're getting now. You're being trained to be a revolutionary. That's it. They're not training you for any usable skill. They are so far behind the curve on what is coming. By the time you've racked up all this debt, you're sitting there under this mountain of debt. You think you've played by the rules. And so you're feeling like, hey, I'm getting screwed by everybody else. You're not getting screwed by everybody else. You were screwed by the universities in bed with the government and the teachers' unions. That's who you've been screwed by. Make no mistake. And what are the teachers' unions and the schools and the government now trying to get you to do? To be a revolutionary, to make the government even bigger and more powerful. What if we made things actually work? I mean, not just a slogan, but a real idea of cutting all of this. Milei is doing it in Argentina right now. He's stripping rent control, and it has caused the supply of houses to triple and prices to fall. Why is nobody talking about that? Why is that not in anybody's best interest to talk about that? Why is that not on the front page of everything? That's an actual solution. The houses, the market has tripled in size. The availability of housing is triple what it was. And the prices are lower. Why aren't we looking at that? Because it's not in anyone's interest except for yours. And nobody's serving you. And you are becoming a useful idiot by playing into this system. By saying, yeah, we need more government regulation. This is not about left or right. It's not about the Democrats or the Republicans, because all of that's garbage. This is about finally, for the first time in your lifetime, in my lifetime, trying to do what America was actually built to do in the first place. Freedom in the marketplace. The free market is not an old idea, okay? It's the newest idea that America hasn't dared tried in decades. Why is everybody pushing failed systems that have failed over and over and over again? And yet we have the one system, the free market, the true free market that completely changed the entire world, fed more people, brought more people out of poverty, changed healthcare system entirely, gave us energy and fuel to be able to read at night, study at night, fly across the world, do all of these amazing things. Gave us the internet. Why aren't we going back and saying, wait a minute, what was it that started that revolution? Why? Let's try that again, instead of going back to something that ended in 100 million people being killed, starved to death, oppressed, people thrown in prison. My gosh. We're dragging anchors through history. Old language, old solutions, old slogans, Democrats, Republicans. They argue over the size of government as if that debate hasn't become the dead weight that keeps this nation down in the first place. Meanwhile, you, the young person in Dallas that's just starting a family, a single mom in Chicago, the contractor in Idaho, you're not debating theory. This is real life for you. You're drowning in the price of rent and groceries and gasoline. You're watching your dream shrink and shrink and shrink while politicians just keep using recycled words that meant something maybe 40 years ago that don't mean anything anymore. Don't burn the system down. Cut the ropes that have been tying you down. It's time to throw the dead weight overboard. So what does that look like? It looks like putting you, the consumer, not the government, not the corporation, back at the center. Ever notice recently corporations really don't care about you? They say they care about you in theory. They care about people in blocks, but they don't serve you. Has your service at your local store or whatever gotten better or worse? Do they care more about serving you? That's the idea of the free market. You want to know how to get rich? You get rich by coming up with a way to serve people and make their life easier and better every day. If I can help you understand the world in a better way so the world makes sense to you, I've given you something of value that you want. That's how I make my money. Because I work every day trying to figure out how can I make your life more manageable. You have to do, that's what all entrepreneurs do. How can I help people ease their life, provide them with something that makes their life better? Instead, the other way to do it is how can I oppress people? How can I make sure the government will guard everything I'm doing, even though I'm ripping people off, I'm destroying lives, but I'll get rich and the government will get rich? No. We need energy prices that fall because of competition, not subsidies. The government not deciding winners, but you deciding the winner. We need housing unlocked by the simple idea that builders should be allowed to build. Wages that rise because the little guy is suddenly allowed to compete with the big guy, not beg the big guy for a job. We have to stop defending capitalism because capitalism, as it has been, it's over. It doesn't work. We need to unleash freedom as it was meant to be. Not the freedom of slogans, not the freedom of insider deals, but the real freedom of choice and risk and reward applied to everyone in everyday life all around the country. Because honestly, history will tell us when countries fall into despair, they reach for control. Every time. And it's going to happen here. The central plan, the state solution, the strong man. But America was built on the opposite impulse, to trust people more than the planners. That was our radical idea. That was the miracle. Trust people over the planners. The question is, that's the one idea we haven't tried in a very long time. Can we make it new again? And can we convince people to believe in themselves instead of the people who have brought us this misery?